What's going on, everyone? Subject matter, this particular video just going to be covering how from the moment we start walking, we're given these type of roles. Even before then, we're given a role that this is how this boy is going to be, this is how this girl is going to be. And that kind of preconceived notion, it kind of puts many restrictions on our lives, especially as we grow older. And it gives us a myopic uh, way of thinking. You know what I mean? And we see men is doing this, we see women is doing this, and if you come from this background, you should be doing this. And how we will never seek true and divine happiness within inside of ourselves and peace, most importantly, because we're steadily trying to be a person, rather than be self. Because it requires a lot of energy to be a person, because this is not who we are. It requires no energy whatsoever to be self, because this is us. This is self. And, I'll just elaborate, for instance, babies, kids, 3 or 4 years old, and how they're given, these toys or tools, like for instance, a boy, he's given the sporting toys, a car, action figure, or hardware supplies. Why a girl is given an easy bake oven, cooking supplies, dowels, combs, and with the little pink dresses, the boys get the rough and tough, clothing. And a boy should never cry, always conceal your emotions. Don't ever show your emotions, because that's weakness. Subconsciously, or subconsciously, well, telling the woman that you're weak. Your emotions will render you, to be weak. And how a woman should always express herself, or a girl should always express herself. Don't be afraid to cry. You see a boy cry, they're soft. You see a girl cry, oh, she's just expressing herself. That sort of thinking is very, I would say, poisonous. It gives us such a insular way of thinking. Because we see ourselves as, okay, a boy should do this, a girl should do this. And how, for instance, a boy he might cry for the first time, and his dad punches him and like, don't cry. And he's always going to remember that moment in his life. And then how when he grows older, he that that anguish and that anger that he had built inside for so long, it started to manifest into his reality, and he takes it out on someone. He kills a couple people, or he beats someone, because he never was given an opportunity to fully express himself. Or a girl, she's always portrayed as being, emotional, this and that, and that kind of, it hurts her in the long run, because she feels she's not really, expressing self so much, because she's only playing a role. You get what I'm saying? She's been told this is how I should be, so it's okay if I do this. This is you kind of perpetuate how people are. For instance, you got if you watch the television, or let me elaborate on that. You see the perfect the quintessential American family, as what I call it. You have the male. He goes in, he goes to work. He has his his tie, his suit and stuff. He has to go. While the women they have two kids. Always, and it's usually a boy and a girl, and the woman stays at home, takes care of the kids. You know what I mean? Or they might even have a little bit more kids than that. You never know. But that's just the quintessential American family. And she takes care of the kids. He comes home, and rough day at work, or this and that, and they're just playing their role, and they're perpetuating these roles. You know what I mean? They're going to instill this into their kids, that this is how it should be. The man should be the provider, when really it should be a unit. It doesn't matter who works. Both can work. Just be a unit. Work together. Don't divide yourselves up, because the people that's in control are purposely giving you these roles, so that way they can remain in power, so that you won't ever think outside the box. You always think this is how it should be. And when you continuously think this is how it should be, you'll never see how it is, because um, your life is pretty much filtered. You're living a museum life. That's all it is. And that's not happiness, nor is it peace. Um, Elaborate on the kids a little more. Like I said, we're given our certain tools, toys, and this this way of thinking, it travels all the way until college, even after that, um, and it really has a traumatizing effect on our relationships. You know what I mean? Because in our way of thinking, you hear people say, "This is a girl, go cook me a sandwich," or "You need to go to work and do this and that." Be a man. Like, I always ask people, what is it? How do you be a man? What is a man? You know what I mean? Too many people try to go through life and be a man, be a woman, be a leader. You know what I mean? A leader doesn't necessarily restrict his or her way of thinking. You know what I mean? A leader is a leader. A leader's gonna always be that. A man's gonna play his role. Woman's gonna play her role. Um, and these ways of thinking, I can never keep, instilling that into you guys' heads. It will restrict your life. Don't ever narrow your way of thinking to the point of this is how it should be, because, like I say, never see how it is. And for instance, watching the P90X clip, and how the guy Tony Horton, if you guys don't know his name, um, he's asking the guy, he's going through, it was two guys and a girl, because that's how society is set up. It's a predominantly male dominant society, and preferably European, or what you call white man. But and how he asked the guys, okay, how many push-ups are you gonna do? The guys say, oh, I'm gonna do 30. I'm gonna do 32. And he asks her, how many are you gonna do? She says 30. And they all look at her, just flabbergasted by her answer. Like, okay, she starts smiling, but I'm thinking, you gotta be really observant and read, like, the body language. Even though it's on a screen, you can still get some gist of their reaction. Look at their face. You know what I mean? She's sitting there smiling. I'm sitting there going like, they think she's not able to keep up with them because they're men and she's a woman. You know what I mean? And you go through the clips of P90X, you'll see, it's always two men. And no, it's three, including him, and always that woman, when they're doing what you call heavy lifting or hard, a vigorous workout. When it's more of a so-called feminine workout, such as yoga, you'll see more women. You know what I mean? Just playing their role. This is how a woman is. This is how she is. A man does this. That way of thinking has to stop. But it's very effective at the same time, because you give people their roles. You know what I mean? They would never really think outside the box, because if they think outside the box, majority of society will ostracize them. Exile them, like, oh man, isolate them. They're crazy. This is how it should be. You know what I mean? Um, just really change your way of thinking. How a man or woman should be, because you don't know what is. Instead of trying to be a man or woman, play a role, be a leader. Don't. But keep the line intact where you don't want them to cross over, and try to be the opposite sex, but keep it steady, but also try to predicate to them that being a leader is much more extraordinary versus being you know this. For instance, um, you know, we're given this life where, even just speaking on behalf of boys and girls, we grow up, especially from the '90s and there on, babies that was born there, we're given this role that go to college, not necessarily disparaging one who goes to college, but I'm just saying that we're given this role, go to college, get a good job. Right there has to stop. You told them get a good job rather than tell them create your own job or create something that's going to work out for you. Be the creator. Have creative control over what you want to do. You tell them to go get a job. Go to school, get a good job, start a family, live good, and be happy. You're not going to be happy. You know what I mean? Because that's more or less you tell them to go into the materialistic world. Get a job, do this and that, and have a couple of kids and settle down. You'll be all right. Rather than tell them something different, like the world is yours. Go out there, do whatever you want, as long as it's positive. And then help people. You know what I mean? But we're taught go to college, do this and that, and a lot of our purposes go unfulfilled. We don't know what our purpose is, so we look through these external things to hopefully, bring forth a remedy for our lives. You know what I mean? Self cannot be found in books. Self has to be found within self, internally. So really just, really ponder on on that. You know what I mean? You don't want to go through life and telling your kids this is how it should be, because you'll perpetuate it. You know what I mean? And they'll never be happy. For instance, you might tell this kid, "Are you going to be a lawyer?" That's my little lawyer right there, and she's going to be my doctor. You know, and down the line they change their careers or their positions in which they want to be, and then the parents get upset. Well, you can't get upset because that's who they want to be. You can't go through life living through your children. You know what I mean? And giving them their role. You gotta let people be who they are. You know what I mean? Always try to tell them, guide them, and guide their ways of thinking, and instill in them good family values, good um, overall positivity, but don't give them a role in how they should be. So I want to wrap this video up. Like I said, just wanted to decipher, well, not decipher, would just elaborate on roles and how we're given these roles and how it narrows and restricts our way of thinking. Pretty soon I'm going to have another video discussing plenty other subject matters and this and that. So peace and love.